You're quite deep in ML and AI. So what's your take on AGI? Let's talk about full self-driving, like for real, full self-driving. I think we're in a similar mode with AGI, which is where the advancements of these things are flying at the moment. Everything looks great. The problem that we're going to encounter is that as you get closer to the full extent of full self-driving, all the gains are going to be harder and harder and harder and harder. There's an old joke that I give in all my organizations, which at some point inside this organization, someone's going to come to me and say, hey, to solve this problem, we need to make a new database. And I usually just answer no by default. And I say databases and compilers are identical. The first 80% of those things are super easy and a lot of fun to write. The last 20% take years, are super annoying and very expensive. So AGI, which for those that don't know what AGI is artificial general intelligence. And it basically means that a model or a computer system can think essentially like an average human, essentially, to solve problems and rationalize and think and respond in that sort of way. How close are we to AGI at the moment? Well, given what we have in the market already and what we see, I don't think we're that close, but I definitely think it's going to happen closer in our lifetimes. And this is where, interestingly, even as like 10 years ago, it was the theoretical construct. Will this or will this not happen in general? Or will this, if it does happen, will it happen inside our lifetimes or not? I think we're well within the bounds of saying this is going to happen in our lifetimes, and it will happen. I think no one's going to say, hey, it's not going to happen. I also think that AGI specifically is kind of a little bit of a distraction at the moment, because a lot of that is focused on AGI. There's a lot of other advancements that are going to push ML, AI, all the entire space forward. And in fact, I think very specifically, a lot of our advancements in the next 10 to 15 years are going to come from the very specific use cases that have nothing to do with AGI. And in fact, no enterprise in the world is going to care about AGI specifically. They're going to care about how they apply AI and ML techniques and models to their businesses. That said, as Sam Altman has been very apt to say, that he thinks AGI is one of the most foundational and fundamental things that will advance all of the society and the human species for the next millennia. Do I fall in that camp? I'm closer to that camp than I'm not, but I also think that there's a lot of other things we need to consider. So overall, my distilled take on AGI is it's awesome. I'm glad that some people are working on this. I think we're probably a decade or two away from it being kind of a real thing that we can rationalize about. And I think that we need to make sure that we're not only focused exclusively on AGI as an artificial intelligence industry. So what happened to Heroku? Feels like a generalized question because over the course of the last couple of years, most of the common sentiment around Heroku is still its beloved tool, but most people are moving away from it. And then recently Salesforce shut down the free tier. So effectively, like, WTF, what happened? Well, I worked there from 2014 to 17, and I can tell you that internally, that was a time of massive growth, revenue-wise and product-wise. Product line-wise, we expanded into a bunch of different things. But even so, there were internal things at Salesforce that we struggled with. We struggled with understanding how Heroku played into the broader strategic narrative of Salesforce. In fact, I think that was one of the things that caused it to be where it is today, is it didn't really fit. And it didn't fit in such a way that it felt like an odd person out was trying to shoehorn into it. I also think that because of internal Salesforce's type of stuff that I just mentioned, Heroku was not a finished product. Heroku should never have been an exclusively easy to use PaaS or a platform as a service. And in fact, that was not the strategy. The strategy was to continue to evolve Heroku to the point where you could do more and more sophisticated things in it with the same developer experience. And I basically have described this as this kind of like tiramisu layer cake approach to PaaS, where Heroku is at the top level, is an amazing, easy to use thing. And then you're escape hatching out to more and more complexity and more config and more overall ease of use of very complex topics, but in a Heroku way. But we never did that. We never got the chance to do that, or we never actually finished a bunch of those things. And because of that, Heroku was bucketed into this one specific corner of 3-tier web applications with very complex high-end enterprise use cases over here as well. And it just didn't feel like a completed product, in my opinion. Combine that with some of the internal stuff at Salesforce, and a natural conclusion to this is Heroku will be no more at some point in the future. Now, I don't know when that will be, but the natural evolution of Heroku is to tend towards it not existing. Even the brand might go away at some point, but it doesn't mean that we can't forget and lament what Heroku was. Heroku was an incredibly important thing for the entire software industry. People still talk about building the Heroku for X or for Y. And the reason why is because it was such a beloved product. But I also think we should take lessons from Heroku and say, what made a company X does not mean it'll stay that company and it will continue to grow because of it. You have to continue to evolve. And in fact, that's what happened to GitHub too. GitHub was not a social coding platform. GitHub was a software development platform for the world, an end-to-end software development platform. And that's what ultimately Microsoft bought and what Google bid on. The social coding aspect was an awesome start, but it would never have finished if we didn't take it to its natural conclusion. And in fact, GitHub still has more places to evolve. But the point being is something that got you to the party doesn't keep you at that same party.